By the way, while you're saying this, these lists of ridiculous, insane things that USAID spends your money on. Yeah. Rob, I'm going to text you this clip by Ben Bernanke. I want you to play in a minute here, but I want to read through this to you. Millions of taxpayer dollars were spent on controversial projects worldwide, including $7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gender language. Number two, $4.5 million to...
Who hasn't been calling for that?
That's right. $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan.
Yes.
$2 million for sex changes and LGBTQ activism in Guatemala.
Thank God. We're fixed now.
$2.1 million to help the BBC value the diversity of Libyan society.
Now I can sleep good at night.
$10 million.
BBC is in British Broadcasting Corp.
$10 million worth of USAID funded meals ended up with an Al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group.
Yes.
$6 million for tourism in Egypt. $5 million to EcoHealth Alliance, which helped fund bat virus reached at the Wuhan lab. $1.5 million to an Armenian LGBT group.
That's what matters. That's what matters.
That one we can let slide a little bit.
Forget about
Let's let that one slide a little bit.
Forget about the Armenian genocide that's going on.
We got to touch LGBT.
Don't worry about the
$1.5 million to the LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. $2 million to promote LGBT equity in Latin America through entrepreneurship. $2.3 million for artisanal and small-scale gold mining in the Amazon.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. $5.5 million for LGBT activism in Uganda. This is where the money is going. But this is why people are so annoyed. I want you to watch this clip. This is from 08-09, okay? 09. Ben Bernanke is being asked about where $500 billion of money went to. This was shared to me by Brandon. Play this clip here and watch the way he answers and just watch his body language and tell me if you believe it.
What's the job title? What was he back there?
Chairman of the Fed.
The Fed. He was the head of the Fed.
No, this guy was like the previous Jerome Powell.
Right? The younger people that look.
Play this clip. Go for it.
Who got the money?
To financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
$500 billion.
$500 billion, and you don't know who got the money?
The loans go to the central banks, and they then put them out to their institutions to try to bring down short-term interest rates in dollar markets around the world.
Well, let's start with which central banks got the money.
There are 14 of them, which are listed I'm sure they're listed in here somewhere.
All right. So who actually made that decision to hand out $1 trillion that way? $500 billion. Who made that decision?
The Federal Open Market Committee.
Okay. And was it done at one time or in a series of meetings?
A series of meetings.
And under what legal authority?
We have a long-standing legal authority to do swaps with other central banks. It's not an emergency authority of any kind.
Anything specific about it?
Yes, his lawyer.
Do you know the...
Anybody?
My counsel says Section 14 of the Federal Reserve Act.
Tom, thoughts on this?
It's amazing that such a massive... By the way, does anybody remember how much TARP was? What was TARP?
$787 billion.
Okay, so we're talking about a number that is 75% of TARP. And TARP, we agonized over it and who's getting it and is everybody going to pay it back? And I guess Ford didn't take it. There were islands in the stream of companies that didn't do it. And we were so concerned about all that TARP money. And he is casually talking about, we gave it to the central banks. Central banks give it to their banks. $500 billion. And it shows how big the dollars are at the FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee, and how big the world economy are, but also how blasé our number one leader is about it and not knowing it. Mm-hmm. How can you not know? Well, it was $500 million and that was a really tough time because this is 2009. And I think all you good people know that last year, 08, was a suck of a year. Mm. And so it went this much went here, this much went here because of the contagion that was the collapse in the U.S. spread over to those banks. And so we needed to give them liquidity. And here's the top 5.
And this is just the beginning of it.
Don't you want a guy to say that?
We tracked this about 4 years ago. There's about $4 trillion that did just that, kind of just disappeared from the United States. The scary thing is, this is where we get war. This is when the entire world is destabilized. Bessent said just this weekend, he said, Elon Musk is going in and he's going to make recommendations. He's not making changes. He's making recommendations. We did this in the 70s. We did this in the 90s, and nothing happened. He said, so we're going to get his recommendations, and I don't make the decision. This Secretary of Treasury, I don't make the decision. Me expecting him to say, the president and I will make the decision. No. We will give these recommendations to the Federal Reserve, and they will make the decisions. Excuse me? So when Elon Musk said, we've got to audit the Fed, when you get to the Central Bank of the United States and they try to get in there, that's when you're going to see the entire world destabilized, because that thing is a black hole. A black hole.
I think this is just inevitably